This is the cumulative review video number 4, and we are still doing the portion of the review that is from a previous chapter. So this is from chapter 2. We are going to be solving inequalities and then graphing those solutions. So remember, you're going to solve inequalities the same way you would solve any equation. So the first thing that I'm going to do on number 18 is I want to go ahead and combine these like terms, this 2 minus 1, because it's on the same side of the inequality symbol. So when I do that, I'm going to get b plus 1 is greater than or equal to 11. It's plus 1 because 2 minus 1 made 1. Okay? Now I'm just going to use my inverse operations. So the opposite of adding 1 would be to subtract 1 from both sides. And when I do that, I find out that b is greater than or equal to 10. If I was going to graph that on a number line, so let's say 10 was right here, then because this has the equal to, that's the little line under it, I know that this is going to be a closed-in circle. And the numbers that are greater than 10 are to the right. So my arrow would be facing to the right. Okay, let's go ahead and look at 19. I'm actually just going to get you started, and then I'm going to have you pause and solve it yourself. So don't forget, just like on number 18, we want to combine these z's because they're on the same side, and you want to combine this 10 minus 2 before you start moving stuff around like we did here. Okay? So go ahead and pause, do number 19, and then you can restart and check your work with mine. Okay, so the first thing that I did is I did negative 7z plus 8, and that's where I got this plus z. I just brought down my 5 and my less than, and then 10 minus 2 is 8. Then since I'm trying to get z by itself, the opposite of positive 5 was to subtract 5 from both sides. When I do that, I bring down my z, I bring down my less than, and 8 minus 5 is 3. So my answer is that z would be less than 3. So since this does not have the equal to, that's why this is an open circle. That's telling me that 3 is not part of my answer, but all the numbers to the left of 3 would work. On these next 3 problems, we are continuing solving inequalities, but now we've got some variables on both sides. So remember when we solve inequalities that it's best to make sure that you are putting your variables on the left. So the opposite of positive 3w would be to subtract 3w from both sides. And when I do that, I'm going to get 5w plus 7 is less than negative 3. The opposite of adding 7 would be to subtract 7 from both sides. And when I do that, I get 5w is less than negative 10. The last step, the opposite of multiplying by 5, would be to divide by 5. So when I do that on both sides, I find out that w must be less than negative 2. If I was going to graph that on a number line, that would be an open circle on negative 2, pointing to the left. All right, why don't you pause and see if you can do 21 and 22, then restart the video and check your work with mine. Okay, so for number 21, when you distribute your 4, you get 4g minus 8 is greater than 4g. Well, when you go to move your 4g to the other side by subtracting, it winds up canceling out on both sides, and you're left with negative 8 is greater than 0. Which is actually a false statement. Negative 8 is not greater than 0. Therefore, this inequality has no solution. On this next problem, when I went to distribute, I got 7h minus 7 on the left, and on the right, I got negative 56 plus 7h. So when I go to move my 7h to the other side by subtracting, once again, they cancel out, and I'm left with negative 7 is greater than or equal to negative 56. Now, unlike the one on the left, negative 7 is greater than or equal to negative 56. So therefore, this one has an infinite number of solutions. These last 3 problems are simply solving those inequalities again, and this time they only have the variable on one side. So you should be able to do these on your own. So go ahead and pause and do them, and then you can check your work with mine. Okay, so these last three problems were fairly straightforward. So on the first one, I added 77 to both sides, and then I divided by 2, which gave me x is less than 11. That's an open circle on 11 because there's no equal to, and it points to the left because that's where the numbers that are less than 11 would be. On the next one, the first thing I did was combine that negative 5 and 6 to make 1, and then I subtracted 1 from both sides and divided by 3. That makes w greater than or equal to 3. That equal to is what makes this a colored in circle, and my arrow points to the right because that's where the numbers are greater than 3. On this last one, the opposite of positive 5 was to subtract 5 from both sides, and then I divided by 10. That gives me that x is less than 2. Since it's less than, that's an open circle pointing to the left. All right. So if any of these problems were difficult for you, it's really important that you come in and you get some extra help, or you can go back and watch the videos on solving inequalities. I will see you in class. Have a great day.